On the far-flung mining colony of Vera, 4, humans and alien settlers lived in a mix of wary cooperation and awkward cultural exchange. The barren moon was rich in palladium and zephyrite, both needed for faster-than-light drives, so the Galactic Trade Authority tolerated the odd clashes between species as long as the ore shipments kept coming. Private Daniel Cross, a 27-year-old human technician, had been stationed there for 18 months. His job wasn't glamorous, mostly repairing plasma conduits, patching atmospheric regulators, and occasionally welding a stubborn hull plate, but it kept him fed and far away from Earth's endless bureaucracy. He had a habit of wandering into the alien quarter during his downtime. Most humans didn't go there. They found the towering, horn-crested Varans intimidating. But Daniel liked their music, their spiced drinks, and their dry, almost sarcastic sense of humor. One night, during the moon's Festival of Winds, a Varan woman named Shal Varan approached him in the crowded marketplace. She was nearly a head taller than him, with bronze skin that caught the lantern light and crystalline eyes that shimmered gold when she smiled. "You have a strange way of standing," she said, looking him up and down. "That's the first time I've been insulted as an icebreaker," Daniel replied. "It wasn't an insult," she said. "It's curious." She tilted her head. "You lean as if ready to flee or fight. But your eyes don't lie. They're watching for something to laugh at." They spoke for hours over fermented wind fruit. Daniel learned that Shal was a warrior scribe, a strange mix of poet and fighter in Varan society. Her people saw strength not just in battle but in the elegance of words. Then came the music, the dances, the competitive toasts, and finally the mock marriage ceremony. It was a tradition at the festival. Two strangers chosen at random would be wed in a comedic, over-the-top ritual. It was meant to bless the harvest winds and encourage friendship between strangers. Most people forgot about it by morning. Somehow, Daniel and Shal were selected. The crowd cheered as a Varan elder wrapped them in a red silk chain, reciting verses about eternal loyalty and the binding of life winds. Everyone laughed when Daniel awkwardly repeated the vows in clumsy Varan speech, his tongue tripping over consonants. Shal smirked the whole time. "Well, husband," she teased afterward, "shall I carry you to your dwelling?" They both laughed. It was a joke, an absurd, harmless moment at a festival. By the next day, Daniel had filed it away as a funny story to tell over drinks. Shal went off on a trade caravan. Daniel returned to repairing plasma conduits. Life went on. A return no one expected. A year later, Vera 4's sky was split by the arrival of a Varan war frigate. Normally, their ships docked at the orbital station, not the ground colony, but this one came down to the surface, right into the central square. Daniel was in the machine bay when the alarm sounded. The Varans who disembarked wore ceremonial armor, the kind reserved for clan nobility. And at the front was Shal Varan. Her hair was longer now, braided with gold wire. She looked the same, except there was a visible swell beneath her ceremonial tunic. She scanned the human workers, and when her eyes locked on Daniel, her face lit up, not with the mischievous smirk he remembered, but with something warmer. "There you are," she said, walking straight toward him. Daniel froze. "Shal." She stopped an arm's length away and in perfect standard said, "I've come to live with you. Our child grows quickly." The journey was long. Daniel blinked. "Our what?" A ripple of murmurs spread among the human crew. One of the mechanics muttered, "Guess Cross's been busier than he let on." Shal tilted her head. "You are my husband, are you not? We spoke our vows before the life winds." "That was a festival joke." "It wasn't." He stopped, realizing how ridiculous this sounded when she was standing there, looking both dead serious and slightly offended. On Vera, she said evenly, there is no such thing as a false vow spoken before witnesses. Our bodies and our words are one truth. When we spoke the words, our lives became bound. Daniel's stomach tightened. He remembered the red silk chain. He remembered the cheers. He remembered the elders' words about eternal loyalty, and realized, too late, that maybe not everyone had been laughing. The problem with cross-species biology. They went somewhere private, or as private as the colony allowed, and Daniel demanded an explanation. I don't even know how this is possible, he said. Humans and Varans aren't, compatible. Shawl gave him a faintly amused look. Your science is incomplete. The Varan genome has adaptive fertility traits. If the bond between mates is strong, the life winds weave a bridge. That's not how genetics works. That is how we work. Daniel ran a hand down his face. Shawl, we didn't even. He stopped himself, remembering that drunken festival night, the endless dancing, the whispered dare about sealing the joke properly. His memory blurred there. He'd assumed it was just too much wind fruit. Her expression softened. You were kind to me. You laughed when others mocked. You danced as if we were equals. My people say the life winds favor such bonds. Daniel slumped into a chair. He'd spent his whole life avoiding commitment, and now, apparently, he was a husband and a father in an alien culture that took those things very seriously. The clan pressure. Shawl's arrival threw the colony into chaos. The Varan clans saw this as a binding alliance between species. Some human officials were thrilled. It meant trade benefits, protection from pirates, maybe even shared technology. Others panicked at the precedent. What if more cross-species marriages started? What if the offspring was a political bargaining chip? Daniel found himself summoned to meetings with both human administrators and Varan elders. They all spoke as if this was already decided, that he would take Shawl into his quarters, raise their child, and represent the Union of Winds as some sort of cultural ambassador. Meanwhile, Shawl acted like it was the most natural thing in the world. She brought him meals, told him clan stories, and asked what colors he wanted for their child's first ceremonial blanket. He kept trying to explain that humans didn't work this way, that marriages had paperwork, that pregnancies usually took 9 months, not whatever accelerated growth she was experiencing. But every time Shawl simply said, "You made a vow, Daniel. On my world, that is all that matters." Middle turning point, the danger. The situation might have settled into awkward cohabitation if not for the arrival of pirate raiders 3 weeks later. They targeted the colony's Zephyrite reserves. The pirates were ruthless, cutting through human defenses faster than expected. And their leader, a cybernetically augmented human named Drake, had a grudge against Varans. They cornered Shawl in the market square. She fought like a whirlwind, her ceremonial blade moving with lethal grace, but she was slowed by her pregnancy. A pirate's plasma round grazed her side before Daniel reached her. Something primal snapped in him. He'd never been a soldier, just a maintenance tech, but in that moment he grabbed a shock wrench and waded into the fight.